Hi, this is Martin Quigley, the Executive Director at the UC Santa Cruz Arboretum and Botanic Garden. And today we're here in the garden to talk about one of my favorite types of plants, and that is the ones that are not just drought tolerant, which I'm tired of hearing, but drought loving. These plants require drought, and they're the perfect plants for our seaside communities and even inland. And these are called the succulents, which means juicy. So let's go see. The word succulent means juicy, but succulence is not a characteristic of just one small group of plants. It occurs in many plants around the dry areas of the world, some that freeze, some that don't freeze, deserts and prairies and other temperate climates as well. But succulents are uniquely adapted to a place like the Central Coast here, where the dry season is getting longer and more intense every year. In our lifetime, it has changed. So succulents were here before, but now there's even more of them that will survive and thrive here. And they're not all just little tiny plants in a single pot. Even though these are small, some of these will make big 2-foot mounds of beautiful foliage. So where can succulents occur? In the leaves of the plant, in the stem of the plant, in the roots of the plant, or any combination of those. All it means is they can go for months and months with no rain. And I have to tell you, this is why you are killing your plants. Oh, I can kill a cactus, they say with a laugh, but they should be ashamed, because the easiest thing to do is to bring succulents into your home and not have to worry about them. But people overwater them, they water them every week, or they just keep the soil moist. That kills them. Remember, all that water is already in the leaf. They don't need the water. So when in doubt, don't water. And in the wintertime, don't water. These beautiful plants go for 3 to 4 months with not a drop in the wintertime. And when the sun days are longer, you start fertilizing and watering, water once a month. So literally you're watering these maybe 5 or 6 times a year if they're in a pot. If they're in your landscape, you are never watering them. If you don't believe me that succulent plants don't want the water, you believe they do, here's a good demonstration in our propagation bed. We're seeing that in succulent leaf forms, not all, but almost all succulents with succulent leaves can regenerate a whole new plant from a single leaf. Here's one that's just a couple weeks old, and here's one that's probably a couple of months old. So a single leaf is enough to make a whole new plant, get it through the summer, and wait till the next rainy season. So it doesn't want water. Remember, roots, all roots, but especially succulent roots, need oxygen as much as they do water. I'm going to show you some of the true desert succulents. Remember, succulents are not just in the desert. There are other places like a Mediterranean climate, the one we have here, where you just have a long, dry summer with no rain at all. So succulents are very useful, especially if you have a super dry garden. Let's see some old specimens here. Here we are in the Cactus and Echeveria house at the Arboretum, and you can see the very, very drought-looking plants here, which people know as cactus. And it's a particular style. One thing about cactus is they cannot sit wet through the winter here, or it's not winter, it's whatever rainy season we have. That's why they're usually better in pots. Anyway, these are fun things. They're great. I like to encourage small children to test all the needles. So, well, I mean, who could resist? In fact, touch this one. This is a total cactus. These echeverias here are from Mexico, and these plants themselves are hybrids of various species, all of them from Mexico and Central America. And they are just wonderful for color. Another thing about all the juicy succulents, the ones that are not scarred and sunburned, is that the colors improve with drought and stress. So unlike geranium or something where you fertilize and water and try to keep it blooming, these things like their cycle, don't overwater them, and the more stress, especially in the hot months, the more colorful they get. And some of them actually do their color thing in the rainy season, which is interesting. So even when they're not flowering, which are pretty fantastic little flowers, they're a great plant in the garden. One of the real nice perks of raising succulents at all is how easy it is to propagate them. So there it is. I got the root out. That could actually sit there for a month or two with no ill effect. So that's whole plant propagation from a plant that was already mature enough to send out pups. Then we have this echeveria. This one makes it really easy because the new plantlets just go like that. And if that doesn't work, then you go in there and carefully rip it from its mother plant. And there we are. And just leave that, one rule, just only one rule, leave it sitting out for a couple of weeks so this dries up. Then it will start to root. And then finally, the other tried and true method for almost all leafy succulents, and that is getting, it doesn't matter. I got one. And if you really like these a lot, remember every leaf that comes off will make a new plant. They're great for collecting, for trading. It's good for amateur gardens. You can do this in a windowsill or in containers or even in the ground. Succulents are so versatile. And I just want to show you a couple of large landscape level ones because they're all not tidy little things in pots. So let's go see a little more chaos. Now we're out in the succulent garden, which is mostly the New World, North America, Central and South America, cactus and agave. And this is landscape level sized plants. Some of these are not for the home garden because they're pretty dangerous, but they're spectacular. And when the agaves go to bloom, if you look over there, you can see one flower that is going to last for a few weeks, and then the entire plant will die. So this has been a very brief overview of the variety and diversity of succulent plants. They are a worldwide phenomenon in desert and Mediterranean climate zones. And you can see at the landscape level, they make quite a spectacular statement. This is too dry and too thorny for some, but you've also seen they're fleshy, soft, very tender succulents. So as we enter an even more severe plummet into climate or weather warming here on the West Coast and likelihood of much longer dry seasons, all of these succulents, the little tiny potted plants all the way up to these landscape plants, are tough enough to go through the entire dry season with no rain. So try some succulents, bring some home, get some cuttings from a friend, ask your neighbor if you can have a little piece of their Peruvian cactus, see what they say.